Okay, so why do men dominate chess? Here's the truth.
There was a Kenyan student who entered a local chess competition and ended up being featured by New York Post, BBC, and other major publications. How come? It turned out that he played a shameless gambit. He disguised himself as a woman and entered a female section. He defeated a former national chess champion and then Ugandan
Bro, that's a pretty sly undercover method right there. I guess bro was desperate for money and he played a pretty genius con. That's pretty smart right there to just wear the hijab. Give him props for that at the very least.
top female player, and after some time, organizers figured it out and, of course, expelled him from the tournament. Nevertheless, this raises the question, how come that men play chess so much better than women? I investigated it just out of curiosity and came up with three main differences in human psychology which actually go beyond chess. They were interesting, so I decided to share with you.
Yeah, that's great. And I actually do play chess as well. I'm around a 1700 elo on chess.com, which is not amazing, but I'm not a total beginner either. And my theory on why men dominate chess, which I'm sure I'll talk about in the video, is just biological differences in spatial recognition and in logical processing, men's ability to process uh, logic. There was even something I saw on Twitter about how men process abstract rules in a game is completely different than women do. So I'm sure he'll talk something about that.
The first factor is IQ distribution. While the average IQ of men and women is the same, the distribution, the variety is different, meaning there are greater quantity of men with above average intelligence, and this is where you find Fishers and Carlsons of the world, but there is also greater quantity of men with below average intelligence. Therefore, while enjoying beautiful combinations of Mikhail Tal, we shouldn't forget that someone out there is trying Scholar's checkmate against you while you're rated 1100, and that guy is also a man. The next factor turns out to be
Yeah.
a lot more interesting, but first let's look at this example when Magnus Carlsen is analyzing his game against Hui Fan, the second strongest female player.
But if I take on h5 first, then ED check.
Queen takes h5. That's nice. Yeah, that's very nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Basically, Carlsen in this position suggested that black should move the knight to h5, giving this route for the queen to attack, rerouting one of the knights to this weak square, and arguing that black would have a great position, but Hui Fan calmly said queen h5. And it turns out that queen h5 is actually a brilliant sacrifice that turns things upside down. Now, after pawn takes, white's got this pawn takes d5 beautiful discovered check, meaning black needs to move the king, but then white gets back their queen, then this pawn getting huge positional compensation for the rook. I mean, they're just winning. Something similar happened when Magnus played black against world's best female player of all time, Judith Polgar. Carlsen played here rook c8, a nice positional move, putting a rook to a semi-open file, but he blundered a tactical trick, bishop to b6, and now it's time for black to resign. The
Yeah. And it's interesting because Judith Polgar is the greatest female player of all time, like you said. And she, I think, reached a peak rating of like 2750 around there, which, there's over 30 men right now who have that rating. So you see, even with Chess Elo, the IQ distribution similarity is still true.
queen is attacked but can't move. If it moves away, there is queen takes d7 checkmate. However, it's all fun and really spectacular combinations, but when I checked actual tournament games between Carlsen and Hui Fan, they were all pretty much the same. Long maneuver in battle, going to an endgame, and Carlsen slowly but surely outplays and wins. Now, what am I trying to say here? There were different researches that found that men's and women's mental abilities might be different. They might be better at different aspects. For example, men seem to have superior spatial intelligence,
Right.
while women are better at linguistic skills and abilities. Now,
And that's what I was talking about is spatial intelligence, which is, understanding. It's kind of tied into the hunter gatherer hypothesis, which is that men who were hunters, which was the vast majority of men in the ancient caveman societies, had to have good spatial recognition and be able to understand their environment and manipulate their environment at will. And so that's probably very strongly connected to the findings in spatial intelligence here.
What does it mean for chess? It might be that because of that superior spatial intelligence, men are somewhat better with positional chess and long-term strategic planning. And because chess in a nutshell is a strategic game, it gives men some advantage, and that's why they mostly dominate. With that being said, so far I haven't talked about a pretty...
And notice how all of these realities are very conveniently avoided in our society. We don't talk about the differences between men and women. The physical differences are obvious, and nobody tries to dispute those, but the mental differences are what we try to pretend like doesn't exist. However, a game like chess very clearly illustrates that there are still very distinct differences between men and women in the way we process information.
Much obvious factor called a participation gap. According to my YouTube analytics, among all of you guys and girls watching this video, there are only 12% women, and it's actually great because it used to be much lower. Before the Netflix movie The Queen's Gambit, it was just 3. So girls, we need you here. Please come and join us. Yeah. Now, the next question is, why there are so many men that are playing chess than women? There are various theories around that.
It's really just because it more closely reflects how men think. Men try to out strategize people. And that's where the whole saying of chess, not checkers comes from, and all these quotes about chess come from, is basically men in any realm of competition are trying to be the more strategic one and use strategy to win. That is a great victory for men, whether that's in sport, whether that's in business, whether that's in legal terms for lawyers. When men can get a strategic victory over somebody else, I think that fulfills us in a deep way that probably doesn't fulfill women in the same way.
Referring back to that wider distribution of different attributes among men, some say that in general there are more men that are disagreeable. By the way, if you guys want to disagree with that, that's okay. And also there are more men that are aggressive. And disagreeableness paired with aggressiveness potentially makes men more prone to competitive activities versus women who are more prone to collaborative activities.
Trying to beat and, like I said, out-strategize your opponent, prove that you're the better man. That's very appealing to men in general. And Jordan Peterson talks about this, how men's disagreeableness tends to create these extremes on both ends, where a lot more men end up in prison. However, a lot more men end up at the highest levels of competition because we want to win and outcompete everyone.
But of course here we stand on a shaky ground, as all these data is a little bit vague and not enough to make any decisive conclusions. Let me share with you another interesting fact as well, because a lot of you guys have been asking me, like, can I get to this level in chess? Am I too old for chess? Can I become a grandmaster, etc.? So let me answer all these questions. So first off, let's look at Chess.com Blitz leaderboard. Now what we can see here is that all these guys are mostly around 3,200 rated. Now what's also crazy here, of course, is Hikaru playing 40,000 Blitz games alone, not counting bullet, standard, rapid. The guy never sleeps. Yeah. Anyways, if you wish to
Hikaru is a machine.
Become one of those guys, you probably need to be a man who was born with above average intelligence and who started playing chess before the age of 12, because statistically, if you started earlier than that, you're less likely to become a GM. However, if you wish to dominate pretty much everyone, you need none of that. Now let's look at the average Blitz rating on Chess.com, and the average is 630, which is nothing super impressive. And therefore, if you wish to dominate 80% of your potential chess opponents, you only need to get to the rating of approximately 1000, I guess. And if you wish to just dominate pretty much everyone, you need to get to the rating of 2000. And it's not required to be a genius to get there. If you want to know how I went from 1600 to 20...
That's very true, and that surprised me. How small the amount of really good chess players there are. A 2,000 rated player is realistically, it's a good player, not a great player, but a good player, a very solid player. I'm not a 2,000 rated player yet either, but I've played Masters before. I've played 2,000 rated players before and beat them. And one of the biggest differences between higher rated players and lower is the way that they think and the way that they process the board, and like I said, the spatial recognition, pattern recognition as well is very key. So the comments here said, I'm a woman who loves playing chess and loves this channel. Thank you, Igor, for all your videos. I hope women will have a higher participation in the future, and I hope that one day there will be this amazing girl who will beat male chess champion. I also wonder about the obsession factor as an extension of your third point. It seems that guys can 100% focus and play only chess or other activities all day. That's often to the detriment of their relationships. Very true. It seems that women are more well-rounded and likely choosing wisely to invest and balance their time doing other things, like developing relationships with people. All that to say, I'd be curious about the number of hours each sex plays, practices, and trains to see if there's a difference. Yeah, it's a very good point, and that's something you see in all realms. Men who become obsessed with video games, any realm, men, when they're obsessed, a lot of the times it's to the detriment of a lot of other things. This guy says, is that a question, Bobby Fischer? Yeah, that's one of the things that is famous in the chess world, is Bobby Fischer famously said, women can't play chess. They're just not good enough. And a lot of people took offense to that, but in comparison to the top-rated man, which he's one of the greatest chess players of all time, he's not completely wrong. But either way, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning into the video today, and I will definitely be dropping some more heat in the next few days, next few weeks. So stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't already, and check the link in the description for 2 free ebooks as well as a free consultation with me. See you guys in the next